everyone to another exciting edition of The Gimmick. My name is Ryan, and man, am I excited to talk about this week's edition. We're going to start the episode off by showcasing and highlighting all the breaking news and major happenings that have transpired this weekend, both with GCW's The Collective as well as WWE's WrestleMania. After that, I'm going to be going over 5 useful tips and advice for anybody out there that is looking to pursue becoming a professional wrestler. And finally, we're going to wrap the episode off with hearing from Scissor Boy himself, Mr. WrestleMania, Hurt Business's own, deathmatch wrestling icon, and above all else, most importantly, he is one of my best friends, the different boy, Jimmy Lloyd. I know I had Jimmy Lloyd on previously on the show, but trust me, it's worth having him on again. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there that want to hear Jimmy's story of what happened this weekend, because in case you don't know, Jimmy Lloyd is perhaps the most talked about independent wrestler coming out of this weekend. All of this and more on this week's episode of The Gimmick. But let's not waste any more time shooting the shit. Let's get to this week's spot of the week.
Make sure to at least check to see if the shoulders were on the mat. That's it!
To say this weekend was eventful is an understatement. From Bunny Destroyers to Teddy Hart getting banned from both ICW and GCW shows, this weekend had it all. One of the biggest stories that I want to start off with is Nick Gage returning from an Achilles injury and regaining his GCW World Heavyweight Championship against longtime rival Ricky Shane Page. And what a blow up to this year-long story that these guys have been telling. They went out there at GCW Spring Break and had an all-time classic. From the insane bumps to the in-ring psychology, this match had a little bit of everything, and I have to admit, it feels real good hearing the crowd react to the returning Nick Gage and seeing him hold up the GCW Heavyweight Championship above his head was a nice touch. However, although the match was awesome and the moment was memorable, everyone's talking about the fact that AEW's own Jon Moxley made his presence known in a GCW ring. And Mox even went as far to lay out the new GCW Heavyweight Champion in a bundle of light tubes. The fact that Jon Moxley turned down a $1 million contract with the WWE and ended up just living his life and doing what he wants to do, and now he is bumping on light tubes in a GCW ring, is incredible to me. That's a true testament of Jon Moxley's character and a true testament to how much this guy truly loves professional wrestling, and it makes me so happy. Speaking of death matches and GCW, both GCW and ICW crowned their inaugural deathmatch world champions. The deathmatch champion for ICW is John Wayne Murdoch, and the deathmatch world champion for GCW is Alex Colon. Congrats to both men, and more importantly, congrats to the deathmatch community as a whole. I'll be the first one to say it, I'm not the biggest deathmatch guy. However, when it is done right and it has a purpose and there's a story being told, I absolutely think deathmatch wrestling has a place in the wrestling atmosphere. Deathmatch wrestling is starting to become more mainstream. It's starting to get the notoriety and respect that it deserves. And if you don't believe me, take a look at Jon Moxley, who is one of the biggest wrestling stars in the entire world, and he's starting to dabble again with deathmatch wrestling. Another thing coming out of this weekend is Jordan Oliver and his MVP performances throughout the entire weekend. I'm a big fan of Jordan Oliver. He's going to get signed within a couple years. If you don't know Jordan Oliver, make sure you go out and check him out. I've met him before. He's a really nice dude, and he is an incredible professional wrestler. This man started his weekend off with defeating Everett Connors at Jimmy's DF, and then he went on to win the ASA Cup while also having star-making performances against Leo Rush and Jimmy Lloyd. This is a guy to look out for. This is a guy to study. This is a guy to watch. He is someone that has made the most out of every opportunity that has come his way. There was a ton of awesome shows with a ton of incredible matches that happened this weekend. But for my personal favorite show overall, I would have to say it's VXS Violence and Suffering's Lucid Dream Show. This show was stacked from top to bottom. It began with Rich Swann and KTB, which was a fantastic match. Then you had Garcia and AJ Gray, Too Cold Scorpio and Eli Everfly, Jimmy Lloyd and Jordan Oliver, which I thought was really good. Dr. Cube and JTG was thoroughly enjoyable. Cage and Dickinson beat the hell out of one another. And the main event of the evening was Lio Rush taking on Low-Ki in a dream match. And a dream match it was. We'd be here forever if I was to give you my thoughts on every one of these matches, but take my word for it. If there's one show to go out of your way to go check out, I would recommend VXS Lucid Dream. The show was awesome and they had must-see matches. The match that I enjoyed the most this weekend, however, was Rich Swann taking on Lee Moriarty. The psychology was fantastic. The pacing was on point. It picked up and got fast at the right moments, but then also knew when to slow it down. There was tight technical wrestling, super crisp work, awesome high spots, athletic maneuvers. The thing I enjoyed most about this match, however, was the selling of the arm. It was consistent throughout the entire match. It was a solid 12-minute TV type of match. I absolutely loved it. It didn't go 20, 30 minutes. It got in and got out. They did great work, and I want to watch these guys work in the future. As for WrestleMania, I enjoyed both shows. I enjoyed night one more than night two, but the biggest focal point that I want to talk about with WrestleMania is the fact that both main events delivered. Night one had Bianca Belair winning the SmackDown Women's Championship against Sasha Banks in an awesome, hard-hitting contest. I absolutely loved the dive spot where Sasha Banks hit a suicide dive through the middle rope onto Bianca Belair, and she ended up catching Sasha, rolled through, and walked Sasha Banks into the ring by having her in a gorilla press. Super impressive. Did a great job of showcasing her character, which is being the EST, the best, the strongest, the fastest. The right person went up in the right fashion, and it created a WrestleMania moment that so many people are going to remember forever. For night two, the triple threat match between Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, and Edge was phenomenal. Same goes with the night one main event. Both these main events felt like a main event. It felt legit. It felt like a big deal. My two favorite spots from this match was, of course, the double submission from Daniel Bryan and Edge that turned into them headbutting one another. And, of course, the double concerto. I thought that was a great storytelling and a great payoff to the match. Roman Reigns looked super dominant, pinning both men, which I believe 100% was the right move. Roman's the star. He's the draw. He's the man right now that you need to protect at all costs. So having him win in this kind of manner was a huge statement. And the last thing that I want to talk about, which I have been dying to talk about, is the fact that Mr. WrestleMania himself was in the crowd Saturday night. No, not Shawn Michaels. No, not The Undertaker. I'm talking about the different boy himself, Jimmy Lloyd. For those that don't know the story, it's absolutely hilarious, and the fact that I'm as close with Jimmy as I am in real life, and I know Jimmy on a different level, the story's even more funny. On Saturday night, the first night of WrestleMania, the first time fans are seen in attendance at a wrestling show for WWE, they pan over a nice shot of the entire crowd. And who is the first fan that is shown within like the first 5 minutes of WrestleMania? Jimmy Lloyd. And Twitter erupted just tweeting that Jimmy Lloyd is at WrestleMania. But no, it didn't stop there. Jimmy then sat third row on the hard cam side for everyone to see. So I was completely distracted the first couple matches because I was so engrossed in just watching my friend. After a couple matches, I look at Jimmy again and he's no longer wearing the GCW shirt. He's wearing one of WWE's shirt. He's wearing the Hurt Business t-shirt. And Jimmy had bookings in between WrestleMania. He had a match before WrestleMania and a match after WrestleMania. So he had to leave WrestleMania early to go to this booking and go wrestle for a no-ring death match. And for the match, my man showed up wearing the Hurt Business shirt that WWE just gifted him a couple hours before. And it was absolutely hilarious. And now there's articles covering the story, plenty of memes covering the story. Jimmy Lloyd is the most talked about independent wrestler coming out of WrestleMania weekend. Jimmy Lloyd is the most talked about independent wrestler in all of wrestling, and he didn't do anything, which is so typical of Jimmy, just getting lucky, right place, right time. He was just so happy to be in the crowd, and now everyone's talking about him. His career has resurfaced, and now he is of the utmost importance. And now I'll wrap up the latest happenings and breaking news that has happened throughout the weekend in the world of professional wrestling. So after a monumental weekend that was WrestleMania weekend that just transpired, I'm sure some of you out there were inspired by all the talented and bright young male and female independent wrestlers that were able to pursue their passion, live out their dream of being a professional wrestler, and compete on some of the biggest stages pro wrestling has to offer. And you might be thinking to yourself, damn, I gotta give this wrestling thing a shot before it's too late. Man, I've been watching this stuff my whole life. I practically came out the womb watching professional wrestling. I know everything there needs to know, and it's my time to be a pro wrestler. And don't get me wrong, I think this is a fantastic idea. I'm not here to derail anybody from chasing their goals and being a professional wrestler. However, as being someone that trained, lived out the dream, and chased every single goal that I had at the young and impressionable age of 16 years old, I am here to say that it has been the craziest ride of my entire life, and it has 100% shaped me to the person that I am today, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I am beyond appreciative and grateful that I was able to accomplish some of my biggest aspirations at such a young age. However, that being said, I definitely made plenty of mistakes during my time of wrestling, things that I wish I was educated about beforehand, and I wish there was somebody doing something similar to what I'm doing right now, because it would have saved me a whole hell of a lot of aggravation. But with that being said, here are 5 tips and useful advice for anybody out there that is looking to become a professional wrestler and follow their dreams. Tip number 1 would be, don't start until you are completely healthy. And when I say completely healthy, I'm referring to being physically healthy, mentally healthy, and emotionally healthy. Being physically healthy is incredibly important in this physically demanding world of professional wrestling. For people that aren't going to the gym, I would strongly advise in doing so. At 16 years old, when I signed up, the last place I wanted to be was at a gym. I'm not saying the gym is the be-all, end-all, but I think being active, lifting weights, doing some cardio is definitely important. And the last thing you want to do is hurt yourself or hurt somebody else due to your own physical incapabilities. So hit the gyms to be a little active, do some cardio so you don't get blown up when you're in the ring. It will go a long way. But it also means being mentally and emotionally healthy as well. Because trust me, I've been there when I have been mentally down. I felt a little depressed, a little down, and I did not want to wrestle. But at the end of the day, you have a job to do, you have an obligation to do, a responsibility, so you go through with it and you end up wrestling, but your performance is definitely off. And this sport isn't easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So definitely make sure you're in the right mental state before signing up to do this, because it is a huge obligation and a huge responsibility. I'll be the first one to say it. I can admit that I was not mentally ready to enter professional wrestling. I was incredibly immature, incredibly irresponsible, and from just being around the business, being around actual adults, they helped mold me, and I entered wrestling a child, and I ended up leaving as a man. Tip number 2 would be to do your research. Make sure you're checking the school's reputation, how long they've been around for, who their trainers are, who they have trained, what the school has done. All this stuff is of the utmost amount of importance. Because ultimately, the school that you end up going with and deciding to wrestle for is going to be the wrestling style that you're going to emulate, and it's going to shape who you are as a wrestler. And when I was thinking of signing up, I definitely did my research. I looked at the school's websites. I did a little bit of background checking, and I ended up going with Old Time Wrestling OTW in Williamstown, New Jersey. Their strong suit was teaching old school wrestling, wrestling that had psychology and storytelling, and as you couldn't tell already, it shaped me into the wrestler I am today, and I'm incredibly happy that I ended up doing my research and going with OTW. Tip number 3 would be go in with an open mindset. Just because you watched wrestling from the time you were a kid and you think you know everything about wrestling, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you really don't. So don't go in there with this mentality that I know everything. Oh, I know I can list every single WrestleMania main event. I know everything. Don't do that. Go in there with an open mindset. You're there to learn. So talk to these trainers, learn from these trainers, observe these trainers, so you're not there wasting your time and their time. But being open-minded also means being open to new ideas. I went into wrestling and I wanted to be called this name, having this finisher, with this entrance music, and I'm going to wrestle this kind of way and all that, and look where it got me. It got me nowhere. Because if you think for 1 second that I wanted to work my ass off to be a professional wrestler, live out my dream just for someone to tell me, oh, hey kid, you're you're going to wrestle under a mask. That was never my intentions. Never what I was aspiring to do with my life was to go wrestle under a mask. But I was open to the idea of it because these trainers, hopefully, are more knowledgeable and experienced than you are. So if my trainer tells me, hey man, you look like a kid, you act like a kid, we can't send you out there and wrestle these grown men, so we have to put you under a mask. If we put you under a mask, you can sell tons of merchandise, you'll automatically be over with kids because they're going to associate you with some kind of masked superhero. It's going to work wonders for your career. At first, I completely hated the idea of it, and I did not want to do it for the life of me, but I'm so happy I went in with an open mindset. I was open to new ideas, and I made Valiente the best that it could ever be. Tip number 4 would be keep your mouth shut and your ears open. This means just shut your mouth. You don't have to talk. Just sit there and listen and observe. You will learn so much information from just observing other people. I can speak personally. The people that do this the most and kept talking, they didn't make it very far. It's the people that were sitting there, shutting their mouth and opening their ears and listening to what is going on around them, they went the furthest. Tip number 5 is understand it's a profession. AKA, don't be a mark. Don't be a mark for yourself, and do not be a mark for the other boys. I honestly hate this mentality that so many independent wrestlers have. I have to get my shit in. I have to hit all my cool moves. I have to have a 25-minute barn burner main event. No, you don't, dude. You got 8 minutes. Go out there and tell a story. You don't need to get all your shit in and hit a bunch of crazy moves that mean nothing. Don't be a mark for yourself. Understand that it's not all about you. Although wrestling is very individualistic, it's also a team effort. That means understanding your spot on the card. If your second match on the card, go out there and have a second match of the card type of match. Don't go out there and have a 25-minute match full of a bunch of false finishes and pile drivers on the aprons and dives to the floor. It's not what that's meant for because you're taking away focus and attention from the main event. What this also means is don't be a mark for the boys. At the end of the day, these guys are your mentors, so don't be a fanboy for them. By the end of the day, this sport or this form of entertainment is called professional wrestling, so please be a professional. And there are plenty of other tips, but we'd be here for days, and I think these 5 cover some of the biggest bases. Again, please don't let this discourage you guys. If you want something bad enough, put your nose to the ground, put your hard work in, and you can do it as well. From being in the business since I was 16 years old, I picked up a thing or two and I've learned quite a bit about this sport. And I have no problem sharing this information, this knowledge, and these tips with you guys. So if you enjoy this style and you enjoy hearing my thoughts, my advice, my tips, definitely let me know down below. Okay everyone, it is now time for my exclusive conversation with the different boy himself, Mr. WrestleMania, Jimmy Lloyd. What's going on, Jim?
Chilling.
Just chilling?
Yeah.
Just hanging out after a regular weekend? And nothing big happened or nothing, right?
Just chilling.
Just your average weekend. Well, I will be the first one to congratulate you on being Mr. WrestleMania. And I want everyone to hear your side, your perspective of what happened this weekend. But before we hear your thoughts on WrestleMania and becoming literally the meme of the year so far, I think, I want to do a little bit of background information. So you got to Tampa on what, Wednesday? Tuesday. And then your first match was Thursday, correct?
Yeah.
So take us from Thursday up until your big moment.
Okay, so Thursday I wrestled on my own show, Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F. I wrestled Starboy Charlie in the main event. It was a fun show. Then I did Acid Cup on Thursday as well. I filled in for Tony Deppen because he wasn't able to make it due to traffic and stuff. Like, he wasn't able to get from the airport to the show in time, so they needed someone to fill in. It ended up being me, Cole Radrick, and Ellis Taylor in the first round of the Acid Cup. Thursday, after that, I just hung out and went to Bloodsport and chilled, went to For the Culture. Then Friday, I did the Spring Break Scramble, which was a lot of fun. Then I did the VXS show with me versus Jordan Oliver.
Wow, that was fantastic. That match was fantastic. I wanted to tell you that.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that match. I thought it was really good. Then we get to the big day, Saturday. I'm at a Real Hot Girl Shit, the Alley Cat show, hosted by GCW. I'm there. I'm writing down notes for the Gray Sweatpants Battle Royal, the Faye Jackson one.
Right.
And I'm just trying to get all the cues down, let everybody know what's up with the music and everything.
So you were in charge of that?
Yeah, I was put as someone who writes down all the cues and everything.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's good stuff.
Yeah, nobody knew about that.
Huh. Pretty cool.
Then, as I'm doing that, Adam from Orange Crush says, "Hey, I have an extra ticket for WrestleMania. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go." And he's like, "You're in for a treat because it's second row."
Of course. Like, this is something that would happen to Jimmy Lloyd. Being someone as close to him as I am, I know this kind of stuff just happens. Of course, someone would just graciously walk up to Jimmy, "Hey, man, you free tonight? You want to go to WrestleMania and sit in the third row?" Like, of course that would happen to Jimmy Lloyd.
So then, after that, I went and did the Planet Death show, which was a tag match with me and Jason Gorey versus G Raver and Brandon Kirk in a Four Corners of Pain tag team death match. Then after that show, there was a huge rainstorm, and I just got cleaned up, got dressed, and went to the hotel to meet up with Adam. And when we were at the hotel, he was like, "Oh, we're not going to be on hard cam. We're opposite of hard cam." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." We get to the stadium, and of course, we're on hard cam side. The show starts. The roster is up on the stage. Vince McMahon's there. There's they show like 2 crowd shots, and then literally, I'm looking at the stage. I turn, and I just see myself on the screen. I'm like, "Oh shit!"
What was that like?
It was like, "Oh shit!" And I didn't know if that was like just for like the stadium or if that was like the live stream, which ended up being the live pay-per-view. So then then they kicked us all out of the stadium seating, and we had to go wait in the hallway for the rain delay. And I'm looking at my phone, and the shit just blowing up on Twitter.
Right, and I was one of those people because I just got in the door, literally got in the door right when the show started. I came home with my Burger King, real excited. That's right, I eat Burger King. Don't hate me. And I've unwrapped my chicken sandwich, and I'm looking at my screen like, "Oh, awesome, the fans are back." And the first person I see, of course, is Jimmy Lloyd. And I'm just like, I put my sandwich down, and I'm like, "Son of a bitch, he got lucky again." And I immediately texted you.
Then after that, we went back and started watching the first couple of matches. And then within the first 3 matches, a guy that works for WWE comes up to me in a suit, and he's like, "Hunter saw you on hard cam, and he wants you to change your shirt. What size are you?" I told him my size. He came back, gave me a shirt, and said, "Put this on," and it was a Hurt Business shirt.
What was going through your mind? So Triple H is probably watching WrestleMania in the back, and he looks and sees Jimmy Lloyd in the third row with a GCW shirt, with a beer, loud and proud, promoting GCW, and he was like, "Gotta go."
He definitely thought I was wearing that to promote GCW.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that's just what I wear.
That's what he wears. He's wearing it right now.
I'm wearing a Planet Death shirt right now.
He wears GCW stuff.
They give me all this shit. Like, when am I not gonna wear it?
I don't blame you, but yeah, they definitely. So I think that's one misconception. You weren't going.
I just got done doing a death match. I threw clothes on and fucking went to WrestleMania.
Yeah, so there was no.
Because I still had another match later that night.
Right.
So like, I'm not gonna wear some special outfit for it. I'm just,
right.
In my mind, I'm just going to WrestleMania to watch and have fun.
Right. And then you're sitting there with the Hurt Business shirt, and you know everyone's looking at you.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. At first, I was like, "Damn, I wish they gave me like a sick WrestleMania event shirt or something." But little did I know the Hurt Business is where it's at.
Yeah, and you're in.
I'm in.
Business is good.
Yeah, and then after that, people were blowing up about like it's all over Twitter and on like websites that WWE made Jimmy Lloyd change his shirt, and then everybody got like all amped up about me getting a Hurt Business shirt.
And you didn't care. You're just happy you got a free shirt.
I mean, at the time, it didn't seem like, it was just like, oh, they just gave me this shirt, whatever. And then it blew up, and I went to the Do My No Peace Underground match. I'm like, I might as well wear the shirt they gave me, because like it's that night, like
right.
At least I can go back and laugh about me wrestling in the Hurt Business shirt later on. Mm-hmm. And then did I know that would be even make it bigger deal.
Right. Now, I remember looking at that, seeing, I'm like, oh, Jimmy Lloyd's being talked about, cool. And then Jimmy Lloyd got talked about a second time, I'm like, okay, cool. And then the third time I'm seeing Jimmy Lloyd constantly being talked about on Twitter, I'm like, what did he do now? And when I saw you come out to your match wearing the Hurt Business shirt and going along with the rib, that was a genius move. That was very, very smart of you, and I'm proud you did that.
It went on for like 3 days. It was all over the Wikipedia page.
I know. You on the Wikipedia page. So I'm like looking at, I'm getting text saying like, "Yo, Jimmy's on the Wikipedia page for the Hurt Business." What did that feel like?
I was laughing about it. I was like, "That's crazy." It's funny because people kept changing it back when they would like take me off. Right. Someone would go back and just put me back on.
So what are some of your thoughts now, a couple days removed, and you're constantly seeing all of the memes and the articles written about you, and you're seeing everyone still go along with this, like you're seeing your face photoshopped alongside the members of the Hurt Business. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's fun. And I mean, I don't care. It's more publicity. Like, anytime someone sees your face, they remember who you are, and more people talking about you equals more buzz.
And buzz did it get you? I mean, how much interactions do you get on Twitter? How many followers?
A lot. I mean, followers, I got a couple hundred.
A couple hundred? That's pretty big, though. For doing nothing. For just literally going to WrestleMania. You got 100 followers. A couple hundred followers off of that.
Yeah. And then Sunday, I didn't have any indie shows, so I went back to watch WrestleMania.
Of course you did.
I figured I had to wear the Hurt Business shirt they gave me. So I did that, and I took pictures with cutouts.
That was awesome. I was so happy to see Jimmy embracing the ribs, sitting with the cardboard cutout.
Someone wants to tell me that someone in WWE did that on purpose. Like, panned to me on purpose. Like, they were like, oh shit, this is good. And then they just panned to me.
Well, if they did, it worked.
I think someone did that. I think that was an inside job.
And to your point as well, you were able to capitalize off of all this publicity, all of this press about you now. You're capitalizing on it, and you are releasing your own Hurt Business type of parody shirt, correct?
Yeah, someone, Jonesy came to me with the idea of making a shirt. He said, if you want to make this, you get all the profit. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. If people are going to buy it and people want it, let's give it to them, you know?
All right, Jimmy, I know you got some serious business to attend to. I don't want to take any more of your time. And I do appreciate the fact that you are the first ever two-time guest on the Gimmick. Wow. That's a pretty special accomplishment right there, man. How do you feel about that?
Good, because this one's going to cost you more than...
First, folks. All right, well... Thank you, Jimmy Lloyd, and thank you, everyone, for watching this video. I seriously appreciate it. Let me know in the comment section down below, who do you want to see next time getting interviewed? Thank you all for watching.